Chapter 5. Ryder was sleeping when the alarm clock next to his bed went off. He reached over and shut off the alarm. Ryder sat on the edge of his bed, still waking up. He stood up and stretched. Ryder stretched too quickly, and dizziness came over him. He leaned against the drawer next to his bed for balance. He felt something under his hand. Ryder picked it up and realized what it was. Chase's old collar, he told himself. He stared at the collar for a while, remembering his first dog. The past 5 years have been difficult without Chase, and a lot happened in that time frame. Ryder took a shower and got changed. He walked outside to wake up the dogs. Ryder turned right and woke up the first sleeping dog and leaned down and shook the Dalmatian gently. "Hey, Marshall," Ryder said. "It's time to wake up." Marshall turned and stood up. "Hey, Ryder," he replied. He stretched his front legs and yawned. Ready for the day ahead. "Great," Ryder said. "Can you wake up the others as I make breakfast?" "Yeah, I can do that," Marshall replied. Ryder scratched behind his ear. "Thanks, Marshall." Ryder walked back into the lookout. He walked into the kitchen and started making breakfast. He pulled out 5 dog bowls and filled them up with dog food and 2 strips of bacon each. After they finished eating, the dogs decided to go play for a while. They were all playing volleyball until Ryder called them. "Paw Patrol, to the lookout," Ryder said through their dog tags. "Ryder needs us," the dogs said in unison. They all ran towards the lookout. Marshall, over the past 5 years, has learned to keep his clumsiness under control, though he is still clumsy sometimes, so he didn't cause a crash in the elevator. 6. They all went up to the top floor and got in position. Chase's spot was still empty. They couldn't bring themselves to add someone new to replace Chase. No one could replace Chase. No one could replace any of them. So, out of grief, his spot remained empty. They have been taking turns saying Chase's catchphrase ever since the incident. This time, it was Skye's turn. It was also the day that marked 5 years since his death. She was going to say the catchphrase when a light shined in her eyes. She turned to find out where the light was coming from. It was coming from Chase's collar. Ryder had left it on the chair in the balcony, and the dog tag reflected the sunlight into Skye's eye. She remembered the last night she was with Chase, how they shared that very seat. She remembered feeling the cold air turn warm once her fur touched his. She loved Chase. She never admitted it to anyone, but they already had their suspicions. "Skye," Rocky said softly. Skye came out of her thoughts. "Huh?" She noticed all the other dogs looking at her, confused. "Oh, Paw Patrol, ready for action, Ryder," she announced. Ryder knew something was wrong, but now was not the time to talk about it. "Thanks for coming," Ryder said. He turned on the screen. "We have an emergency." Mayor Goodway and Chicoletta were in the forest when Mayor Goodway's backpack and Chicoletta were taken away by an eagle. "We have to retrieve Mayor Goodway's backpack and bring Chicoletta to safety." Skye gulped, she knew what was coming. "For this mission, I will need Zuma. You will go with Captain Turbot and receive a fish. Skye, you will use your wings to catch up to the eagle and try to make her drop the purse for the fish." 3. "Let's dive in," Zuma called out. "This dog's gotta fly," Skye said as she did a backflip. Hopefully, not too close to that eagle. Although Skye grew a bit, she was still slightly afraid of eagles. She has had some close calls with some in the past, so the fear didn't go completely away. 15. "All right, Paw Patrol is on a roll," Ryder said. Ryder slid down the pole and the dogs went down the slide. The first one to slide down was Zuma, followed by Skye. Skye's helicopter had a broken blade, so she flew using her wings the entire way. When they crossed the bridge, Zuma went to the dock to meet up with Captain Turbot while Skye and Ryder met up with Mayor Goodway. "Thank goodness, you're here," Mayor Goodway said. "I put down my backpack to smell some flowers and an eagle swooped down and took the backpack with Chicoletta. She's probably scared. Please bring her back." 2. "Okay, Skye, go track down that eagle," Ryder said. "We will follow you from the ground." Skye called out her wings. She was using her sonic jet wings from air pup missions. She took off and called out the binoculars in her goggles. After a minute, she found the eagle. It was a large eagle. "Ryder, I found the eagle." Zuma drove over. "And I got the fish," he said. "That's great," Ryder said. Skye came down and grabbed the fish and followed the eagle. She tried to get as close as she could without getting too close. She found herself right under the eagle. "Skye, we're losing you," Ryder said. "Once you grab the backpack, land on the ground and wait for us to find you." "Got it," Skye muffles with the fish in her mouth. She tossed the fish up in hopes that the eagle would see it, which it did. The eagle let go of the backpack and dove for the fish. Skye tried to grab onto the backpack by its straps, but the backpack was too heavy and took her down with it. Skye tried using her jets, but it only slowed her down. "Ryder, I'm going down." "Hold on, Skye, we're coming," Ryder said. He called Marshall to come help. Skye knew that a fall from her height at her speed would be fatal. Ryder was too far away to catch her before she hit the road below. Well, she thought, at least I will see Chase again. 5. Skye closed her eyes, preparing for the impact that never came. Instead, she heard some tires screech to a halt nearby. She felt something big and furry, catch her from her collar midair. When they landed, she still had her eyes closed and she was breathing heavily. 2. Ryder, Zuma, Mayor Goodway, and Marshall all gasped when they arrived. Skye opened her eyes and her jaw dropped. Staring over her was a large German shepherd. He was handsome and well-built, but his size terrified Skye. She scrammed away from him and ran over to where Ryder was and hid behind him. 2. Who are you?" Ryder asked. 4. "Don't you remember me?" the German shepherd asked in a soothing yet firm voice. 1. Ryder realized who it was before the others. It can't be, he thought. 1. The German shepherd noticed that they didn't remember, so he sat down straight and said, "Paw Patrol, ready for action, Ryder, sir." 6. All of their eyes grew wide. Chase. 3. Chapter 6. No one could believe it. In front of the four was a German shepherd who they thought had died 5 years prior. Chase was sitting there, waiting for them to do something, but they were all frozen. They couldn't say anything, couldn't do anything, except watch in wonder. Chase cleared his throat. So, how are you guys?" None of them said anything. "Good," Chase said. "That's good." He smiled. He looked over each one of them. He called out their names as he looked at them. Skye, Ryder, Marshall, Zuma, Mayor Goodway, and Chicoletta. He was rather pleased with himself for remembering all of their own. 1. Ryder was the first one to speak. "How?" he asked. Chase looked down at the ground. "Well, that's a long story, as well as a story for another time," Chase said. "But right now, I only want to say that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for leaving. It was wrong for me to leave you like that without warning. Chase was interrupted by a hug from Ryder. Of course, I can forgive you, he said. I'm just glad that you're okay, Chase. That's all that matters right now. Chase closed his eyes and drowned in the hug. He missed the hugs from his owner. Chase felt like crying but decided to hold it back. Ryder let go and saw a tear flowing down Chase's cheek, so he wiped it off. Everyone got out of their trance. Chase! Marshall yelled as he tackled Chase in a hug. I just knew you weren't dead. Marshall punched him in the shoulder. Don't ever do that again. Marshall gave him another hug. I missed you. 9. Marshall, Chase laughed. I missed you too, little brother. And don't worry, I don't plan on leaving ever again. Zuma and Mayor Goodway walked over to Chase and hugged him. How are you doing, Zuma? Chase asked. I'm great, dude, Zuma replied. But I'm still a bit confused. I have a few questions. How come? We'll have time to answer all of your questions, Chase said. I'm just glad to be back. Zuma smiled, pleased with the answer. Oh, I'm so happy right now, Mayor Goodway said. After I heard that you died, I was heartbroken. She didn't come out of City Hall for 2 weeks after that, Ryder remembered. Oh, that reminds me, Mayor Goodway said. I have to tell everyone that you're still very much alive. Mayor Goodway, I think it's best if… Ryder tried to say, but Mayor Goodway had already put on her backpack and started on her way back to town. There are so many things to prepare, she said aloud. We have to make a welcome party. Chase has returned. We need to have the streets cleaned, trees and bushes trimmed, tables set, Mayor Goodway continued until they couldn't see or hear her. They all laughed. Chase looked down at the last one he forgot to greet. He couldn't believe that he was looking at her again. Her magenta eyes were as beautiful as ever. Skye, he said. Skye ran up to him and hugged him. Chase was surprised at first, but then he hugged her back. They didn't say anything. Ryder, Marshall, and Zuma looked at each other. They noticed that Skye was the most affected of all of them, alongside Marshall. After his death, she didn't leave her pup house for 2 months, except to eat. So they thought that they should leave them alone. 10. We're going back to the lookout, Ryder said. Chase, do you mind giving Skye a ride to the lookout? Of course, Chase replied. Ryder smiled and signaled to the other pups to follow him. Marshall and Zuma followed him back to the lookout, leaving Chase and Skye alone. Don't worry. We won't tell Rocky and Rubble that you returned so you can tell them yourself. Marshall and Zuma followed him back to the lookout, leaving Chase and Skye alone. 1. Skye, Chase said as he picked up her chin so that her eyes could meet his. I missed you so much. I missed you, too, Chase, Skye said softly. She placed her head against Chase's chest, and Chase put his head on top of hers. They stayed in that position for some time. Chase and Skye released each other and stared into each other's eyes. Come on, Chase said. Let's go back to the lookout. Chase jumped into his seat and pressed a button on the dashboard. The cones in the back of his cruiser disappeared, and a second seat took its place. Skye jumped in after him. Wow, how do we still fit? She asked. This was your cruiser from 5 years ago. Now you're 3 times bigger. Chase laughed. Yeah, I made some modifications so that I can still fit in it, he explained. It still works the same, it's just slightly bigger. Oh, Skye said. Chase started the engine and drove forward. Chase urged the cruiser a bit fast. He couldn't wait to see the lookout after so long. Chase turned the corner, and something flew off the dashboard. Skye caught it before it could fly away. She was going to tell Chase, but she found herself staring at the object. It was a photo. In the photo, Chase was smiling. But two other German shepherds were with him. One of them was a young pup on top of Chase, who looked like him, but he had a white snout and white paws. The other German shepherd was a female dog, the same age as Chase. She was completely white with blue eyes. Chase was staring at the pup on top of him. The white dog was staring at both of them while laughing. 9. Skye didn't notice when they got to the lookout until Chase said something. "Skye, we're here," he said. Skye blinked to come back to reality. "Huh? What?" "We're back at the lookout," Chase replied. He noticed Skye had something in her paw. "What is that?" Skye jumped out of the vehicle. It was on your dashboard. It was going to fly away, but I caught it before it could." "Who are they?" "Oh," Chase said. "They are my family, my other family." 3. "Your other family," Skye repeated. She couldn't lie. She felt heartbroken. Chase created another family while he was away. She thought she would have a chance. "Excuse me," Skye said. She pushed past Chase and started walking to her pup house. "Skye, it's not like that." "Let me explain," Chase said, but it was too late. Skye had already turned the corner. "Nice job, Chase," he told himself. "You just got here, and you already made someone sad." Chase looked at Lookout. Nothing has changed since the last time he saw the Lookout, except for the fact that it looked like it got repainted recently. "Well, Skye might need some time," he said. "Let's go see the others." 9. Author's note: Hey everyone,